Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is December and it's almost Christmas time. And you know there's going to be people flying to the Christmas store. Christmas store? Just all it does is sell Christmas ornaments. Flying to the store for Christmas because for some reason they forgot it. Every year people seem to forget that Christmas comes on the same exact bloody day. But whatever. Christmas is a time that I really do enjoy. I know there's some people that dislike the holiday. I particularly like it a great deal. I enjoy putting up the Christmas ornaments, putting up the Christmas decorations. Putting up the Christmas lights is somewhat difficult. Because whenever you gotta put up Christmas lights, it's always a bit of an annoyance. Because you're hanging off of a ladder trying to nail it up on the side of the house. But you know what? It's worth it in the end. And here's something, this is one thing I love about Texas. I was able to find some 12-gauge shotgun shell lights. They're really cool, and of course I bought some. Why would I not? And they're really cool looking. I really enjoy having them up there. Really looking forward to Christmas. It's just, I really enjoy the holiday. It's just something I have always enjoyed since I was a kid. Now, when I was like a teenager, I was like, oh, Christmas is stupid, but not for the reasons that you might think. Back then, I think everyone kind of does that at times. I thought, oh, it's a childish thing, although I still wanted the stuff, of course. But, you know, for over a decade now, I've been a big fan of the old Christmas. Although, I'm not what you would call a big fan of the Christmas music. I never could stand that stuff. I remember back when I was in high school, there was an instructor who played it all the time, and I hated it. Hated it! There is some good Christmas music, though. There's that Christmas music done by Christopher Lee, which isn't bad. Then there was there's this metal Christmas album that's really quite good. Even has old Ronnie James Dio on it. I'll tell you this, I'm a much bigger Dio fan now than I ever was back when I was younger. I used to be a very big Ozzy fan. I guess I still am, but when you really compare the two's singing ability, Dio is far superior in my opinion. IMO. So yeah, Dio aside, one thing I want to show you guys is the subject of a video in 2018. I'm also going to do an end-of-year video. This is just a sort of a generic update versus kind of doing the year in review. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Sony Mavica. This is the high-end model that came out in 1997. This was notable because this was one of the early consumer-level digital cameras. One of the things that really made it consumer level is they made it easy to use. Digital cameras at this time were using serial connectors, and those of you who were back in the day, like me, you know just how annoying serial connectors were. They also didn't use standard file types like JPEG or PNG or something like that. This used a standard device, which I'll show right now. Flip that, popped it out, and oh my god, it's a floppy disk. In 97, everyone had a floppy disk drive. USB didn't exist yet. I don't think USB was even invented until like 99, 2000, because I didn't get a computer that had a USB until 2002. But back in 97, everybody had floppy disks. Everyone had a bloody floppy disk drive. And you got a camera here. All it takes is a floppy disk, and all you gotta do is pop it in there, JPEGs, copy it off of here, and onto your computer. Very easy. No serial ports, no nothing. So that is one of the cool things about this camera. That's the whole reason why I got it. I really wanted this camera just because I remember seeing one of these and using one of these when I was in junior high. This was the first time I ever even saw a digital camera. And I thought they were so cool. I found one on eBay. I got it for a really, really good price. Back in the day, I've been doing some research on these. Back in the day, these would have been about $700 to $800. In 1997, it's close to $1,000. I didn't pay hardly a fraction of that. The image quality is pretty good. It doesn't do indoors very well, though. The indoor video image quality is pretty much crap. Outdoor is a lot better. It gives you 620 by 480. That seems like nothing today, but back then, your average consumer wouldn't have had, you know, like a 12, now a 1024 by something monitor. They would have had a monitor about that size because that was the cheap monitor you could have got back then. So no one would have cared back then about that. Also, one thing that's kind of funny is I found a particularly weird little article on this thing from the time talking about how grave photographers. They called it something else. I'll mention that in the review. But like people who photograph grave sites, they love this thing. I was like, that's a thing? I guess it is. But one of the funny things about this particular camera is you can view the images on here, but it takes forever for it to load up. But when you actually use the camera, one thing that's kind of funny is, unlike today, where you just hit the image button. Here, you turn it on, you hit it, and it takes like 3 or 4 seconds for it to write it to the disk. So you're not going to be taking that many quick photographs, but it's like, who cares, I mean, back in the day, just being able to do that was amazing. Because, back in the 90s, or until, digital cameras really became ubiquitous, you got, like, one roll of film, and that was it. That was, like, 24 pictures. With the Mavica here, you could take, as long as you got floppy disks, and believe me, I got floppies, you can take how many pictures you want. As I remember, I was a big fan of photography, even as a kid, which kind of spun off into this in some instances. At least it gave me the skills to know how to, like, take images and things of that nature. But I was a big fan of photography. I had this little Kodak camera. I still have it. It's in a box. It's like, it's a long, it's rectangular. Yeah, rectangular. It's a rectangular camera. I'm pretty sure some of you will know what it is. Had the little spool, had the little film. It had like a stick in the middle and then 2 spools at the end. And I love that little thing. I took a whole bunch of pictures with it. I don't know if any exist today. But, I love taking pictures back then. I don't really do much photography today. I don't even have a dedicated digital camera. I just use the camcorder, as it does have an image function. I guess the big problem with the camcorder is just the fact that you had to have a lot of light. I was taking a big family photo a couple days ago, and I set that up. It's like, wow, it's really dark, so I had to bring in the big lights, but it was worth it. But that's one of the problems with using a camcorder, is if you want really good image quality, you're going to have a shitload of light. At least that's what it seems to me. Really, though, digital cameras aren't, unless you want to get a good one, like a DSLR, like a Canon or a Sony or something like that, you're pretty much just good with your phone. The phones have replaced quite a bit, actually, MP3 players, and your average consumer is just going to use their phone. And I guess that works. One thing that's really funny, though, about the phones is you can get physical prints easily through, like, I forget what the name of the app is at the moment, but there is an app that you can use, because I've used it. And all you do is pay shipping, and you get the print sent straight to your door, which is pretty cool. But that's just, there goes the photomat. My mother actually worked for a photomat back when she was a teenager. And she saw some strange things, as you would expect. Like, why would you, if you took weird-ass pictures, why would you send them for people to look? I don't even want to know. People are weird no matter what era you're from, be it the 80s, 90s, or today. That being said, are there going to be any more reviews this month? No. Area 51 is going to come out sometime this week. I'm shooting for either Thursday or Friday. Area 51 hasn't taken that long, but I've just had a lot of other stuff in real life to deal with. So, yeah. You get one review, but it's one good review. That's the thing. Whereas before, I would try to get out, like 2 or 3 reviews a month. Now, I'm just giving you guys 1 or 2, but, they're 27 minutes long. I'm giving you one big, good one versus a bunch of little small, yeah, they're okay ones, As the case of the Let's Plays, they're back. They're only going to be on the main channel instead of the Let's Play channel, just because I don't have the time to support a whole nother channel. Where you got to put up like 2 or 3 Let's Plays a week. I cannot do that. I don't know how I did it in the first place, but these days, just one. That way you guys at least have something to tide you over until the next review. Gonna be doing I almost said Max Payne. Max Payne, there we go. Gonna be doing Max Payne. I might do Area 51 after that, because Area 51 is a really fun game, and there's a lot to talk about in that one. Let's see, what else we got? We're gonna be doing the year-end review. I think I already mentioned that. Just because this year has been kind of interesting for me. It's been a very, pretty good year, actually, all around. Except for deaths and things of that nature. But on the whole, it hasn't been that bad. And also, it's an interesting year for me because it's 2017. My current age is actually 28. So a decade ago, I became an adult. And that's always something that's kind of a big thing. Well, at least in the U.S., 18 is considered the adult year. So, you know, looking back over the last decade of my life, you know, after having become an adult, uh, it's just kind of, I look back and I don't really have any real regrets because I haven't done anything that pants on head idiotic, you know. It's like, man, I was so stupid. I got drunk and drove all over the city. It's like, I never did that. You know, I never did a lot of the stuff that people do and regret. So I just been kind of looking back on that. You know, I think I've done pretty well with my life. The YouTube channel has grown over the past, well, it hasn't been up for a decade, but YouTube channel has grown, but it's very hard to get very popular on YouTube, especially with my style. My style is much more intellectual than most, although I still have all the humor that I would normally have. But it's very hard because there's just so many, you know, game reviewers out there and stuff like that. But you just got to keep plugging away until that one day where you finally succeed. That's true of life in general, you know. It might seem difficult at times, or a lot of the time, but you got to keep plugging away. You just got to keep doing it. You got to keep moving because what's the option? Giving up, you know. Ultimately, though, I have definitely enjoyed the past decade. I had a very good childhood, actually. I had a very good set of teen years, but to be perfectly honest, I would never want to be a kid again, and I would never want to be a teenager again. I don't know why anybody would want to be a teenager or a kid anyway. I mean, once I finally got to, like, the age where you could actually, you know, do stuff, that's a lot more fun than not. I mean, and once again, I had a really good childhood. Like, I did not have overbearing parents. I did not have, you know, a bunch of rules. I was pretty free compared to most people that I've talked to. But even then, you know, I like being able to get in a car and, you know, drive where I want to go. I like being able to walk into a shop and be able to buy whatever I want to buy. I like freedom. It sounds silly, but why would you want to be a kid? As a kid, once again, even as a kid like me, with like way more freedom than most, you still don't have as much freedom as you do when you're an adult. Yeah, there's way more responsibilities, there's way more concerns, but that's offset by being able to do what you want to be able to do. I mean, there's always going to be a trade-off. In life, there will always be a trade-off. And ultimately, it's worth being, I'm happier being an adult than as a kid, you know. Because as a kid, you know, there's only so much you can do when it comes to certain things. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, I like being able to, if I want to buy a video game, I just, you know, buy a video game. Whereas a kid, you have to go like, can I have a video game? See, that's just annoying. I like being able to do stuff myself. Self-reliance, you know. Okay, so let's see, what else we got? Oh yeah, consoles. I wanted to touch on this as well. I do not own an Xbone or a PS4. But if I were to own a console, and I have no reason to own a console, I still have the Xbox 360, that's hooked up. If I was going to get a new console, I'd probably get a new PS3, just so I can play some PS3 games. The PS3 emulator is coming along pretty well, it seems, but I still can't really play anything on it. So I'd probably get one of those. But if I was going to get a brand new console, I would recommend, like if you're thinking of a console, like what would you want to get, I would heartily recommend the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's got it down, you know. All these other consoles are like trying not to be consoles, especially the Xbone, where they're like, it's Xbox One, you can do all this stuff on it that doesn't work as good as on a PC. And it's not as the thing is, like, the consoles, one of the things that someone told me a number of years ago is like, a console is good if you just want to put game in and play. And I was like, yeah, that's true. It's like, shit, I can't say that PCs are better, right? Because PCs are better in terms of graphics, but they're a lot more complex, and there's a lot more you got to do to get them to work. These days, though, the bone and the poor, they're not that much cheaper than a PC. And from everything I've seen and heard, they're not that much easier to use than a PC either. Day one DLC, day one patches. You can't just pop in game and start playing. You gotta wait for it to fucking, you know, patch. You gotta wait for it to update and all the rest. The good thing about the Nintendo Switch is, as far as I know, pop in game, play. That seems reasonable. Let me put it this way: how long does it take to go from putting in Bloodborne on the PS4 to actually being able to play it? Load times don't count. Just how long did it take? I want to know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. That's the thing. I would like these consoles to still be good. When I heard about all the stuff they were doing to the Xbone, I was kind of really depressed because, well, not depressed, but you get the idea. Kind of disappointed, there we go. Because consoles are a viable way of playing games. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to mess with the PC, you know, and I can understand that. I can appreciate that. But I just don't like people not having the option to be able to just play something easily. But the Nintendo Switch, as far as I know, is the way to play something easily. You know, the idea that they crushed down Doom to fit on there. That is awesome. Now, I know the graphics don't look as good, but that's your trade-off. You got to trade off. It's like, you're not going to be able to get, you know, PC-level power into a handheld, you know. And that, if I actually played games on the go anymore, which I don't, I would totally get a Switch and Doom 2016. Because if you could just play it on the little tablet thing, I don't care about the screen resolution. We played low-res games on the GBA and were happy to do it. I was happy to do it. I still remember my old GBA, what was that called? GBA Plus, something like that. Anyway, it was the SP. That's what it was, SP. A little flippy thing. I had the Model 1 of those that just had the front lip. But I was happy to have that because you could actually see the fucking screen. And I played Doom on that thing all the goddamn time. And yeah, it's not as good as the PC version, but you know what? I'll take out GBA, flip it open, start playing Doom. That's it. If I had to, like, ride a train or had, well, I guess if I had a long car drive, I wouldn't be paying attention to that. But you get what I mean. If I had to sit somewhere for a long time, I would definitely consider, you know, getting a Switch. These days, when I have to sit for a long time, I generally just mess around on my phone, like reading books, because the screen is big enough for me to read an ebook. Or I'll listen to, like, an audiobook or something like that. I definitely have gotten more into audiobooks recently than not. Even though I don't... Some books I can only find on audiobook, which really annoys me, but, it's what you gotta do if you want to read it or listen to it. One thing that's kind of cool about my phone, at the very least, is I can actually turn on a text-to-speech app. And I've done this a lot. There's a text-to-speech app I've got that allows me to turn a textbook, like an EPUB, into an audiobook. And I've done that when I can't, like, sit there and read a book. I can just turn that on in the background. It's actually pretty neat. As the voices on there actually sound really, really good. Okay, let's see. Any other topics? I'm gonna say most of, like, the predictions for 2018 in the 2018 or the end of year vlog. But I just thought I'd give you guys an update on a lot of these things. Not sure if I'm gonna do a live stream this month. I haven't had a chance to. Because the thing is, whenever I do a live stream, I gotta sit there for like 3 or 4 hours. I just haven't had the 3 or 4 hours to sit there to do. But we'll have to see. There's still going to be that fan appreciation live stream where everybody gets to join in and play Left 4 Dead 2, but I'm not sure when that's going to be. Just because there's just not that much time to do it. And so, at long last, I am GeneralLotz, and I'm going to wish you good Nintendo Switch, and potentially good Nintendo Switch 2, or whatever makes you happy.